met a colleague of yours, John Walker, down in Peru for a seminar on UAS held by the International Civil Aviation Organization. Right. And he has a similar background working in the FAA. What kind of experience do the two of you have, or training, I should say?
Yeah, so John and I are close friends. We've been friends for more than 20 years. Okay. So I was in the FAA from '82 to '93. He was in the FAA long before me, and actually long after me, because he spent about 30 years in the FAA, a little over 30 years. And so when he came into the FAA, the training was strictly on the job, and it was done mostly ex-military controllers. So the environment that he was in was very different than mine. I came in after the strike, post-strike, in 1981. Reagan fired all the controllers. And so when I came on board, most of my colleagues at the time had at least bachelor's degrees. And we all went through rigorous training at the FAA Academy for about 4.5 months. Wow. And so the training that he received, so then after that, then you went to the OJT. But before that, in John's era, it was all OJT, all on the job. It was a completely different workforce. And then when I came in, the workforce was, again, much higher educated, less involvement with the DoD. And so there was quite a bit of difference in the training that we went through, despite the fact that the job was very much the same. Some of the technology advancements occurred in terms of radar and other things, but John had to also deal with those in his career, just like I did. But the way they did training back pre-strike and the way they did training post-strike was very different. Wow. So we had a lot of different experiences as far as that goes.
But so today they look for people who do have an education.
So an education certainly helps you in a lot of ways. The entrance exam to get to become an air traffic controller is somewhat akin to an SAT or a GRE. Okay. It's really geared toward giving you problem sets and having you try and figure out whether or not you can address this, as opposed to strictly based on aviation knowledge, which is where historically up to that point you got into the FAA because you were already an aviation expert. Now it's really more the individuals that they're looking for. They're looking for people who really can solve problems. And that's where an educational background helps. Now, so I think you get some extra credit or extra points for having a degree. But it's that sort of people that have gone through that kind of rigor in terms of education are better equipped to get into government service than if they weren't, if they hadn't gone through that. So, especially for a job like air traffic controller.
So, does it require a special personality?
In order to be an air traffic controller, first off, you have to be able to think analytically. You have to be able to project where aircraft are going to be in 5 minutes or whatever, and be able to think in those terms. I grew up playing chess. I've always been an active chess player, and it was sort of like playing chess, three-dimensional chess. You're really trying to figure out in a blindfold way where everything's going to be in a certain amount of time, and so. So that's sort of the skill set that you need. But personality-wise, you have to be confident without being arrogant. If you're arrogant, you're going to make mistakes. But you have to be able to know that the command that you're giving to the pilot is the right command, and you have to know that the command you're giving to all the pilots are the right commands. And so if you don't have that level of confidence, then you're likely to make a lot of mistakes. So you really do have to have aggressiveness and confidence, but not arrogance. And so those are personality traits that I think would be the kind that are required to actually be successful as an air traffic controller.
So it sounds like people should definitely have more trust in their air traffic controllers than the pilots sometimes.
Pilots also have to be in the same mode, but but for an air traffic controller, so when I was going to college, I was a front desk clerk at a hotel, and it was very stressful because there was no control. As an air traffic controller, it's high level of responsibility, but not so much stressful because when you tell a pilot turn left, heading 160, the pilot turns left.
And you
He doesn't say I was thinking about turning right. He doesn't argue with you. He just turns. So
you immediately see that in like a display. Like
yeah. So you start to see it, and the pilot responds back and says we're turning left. And if he doesn't respond back, you can see it. And if he doesn't respond back and doesn't start turning, then you know that he maybe missed it, and so now you have to give that transmission again. So you're able to see immediate results from your actions. But you know, the pilots, today's professional pilot is you know, if it weren't for the way pilots, the rigor that they put in, the system would not nearly be as safe as it is. So I have a lot of respect for pilots.
So it's a team effort.
It's absolutely a team effort.